There's nothing that can trust it.
Oh yeah.
Or not trust it.
Maybe that's where because it's,
it's a bit like
it's
a dog.
You told about trusting in yourself, trusting in your own.
No, I didn't.
No, not you.
Oh, okay.
No, not you. It's like that sort of part. Well, it's part of the, sort of the journey is like trusting yourself, go within yourself, trust in yourself.
But that's incredibly complicated.
Yeah,
there isn't a journey.
Yeah,
there isn't anyone who can choose to trust or not.
Yeah,
there's just being.
Yeah,
in that being and in that sensitivity, there might be a willingness to follow instinct and nature and intuition.
Yeah,
this is all intuitive.
Yeah.
But the mind, the ego, the person, the separate self, does not want to follow intuition. It's not wrong, it's just what's happening. So a dog sees a bone, yes.
Yeah.
There's no consideration about that.
Yeah.
There's just a joy in being.
Yeah.
There's a trust in instinct, if you like,
Yeah.
although a dog would never use the word trust, or instinct for that matter, but it's like an innate, natural knowing that is beyond knowing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't guarantee a happy life or a comfortable one. It's simply an easier, simpler way to live that isn't dependent. It's just an ease in being. If the dog's been kicked a lot, then it might be drawn to people who will kick it or tell it that it can't have a bone. The dog isn't choosing that, but that might energetically be likely. It's sad and it happens.
I was just thinking about the dog. The dog and the bone. No, in relation to a man I lived with. I mean, he was such a gorgeous man, but he had no idea about manners or being polite. And when my parents came, we took them out for tea. We went to this little tea shop with scones and cream tea and jam and everything.
As you do.
So Elmer and my parents and me were all sitting there. And the waitress brought all the scones, luscious bowl of cream and jam and everything. Anyway, Elmer, my partner, he just died. Oh, scones, how delicious! And just sort of dived in, and my parents. Has this man no manners at all? That's what popped into my mind with the dog and the bone, I mean, I loved that side of Elmer, but he
Well, manners tend to take manhood out of a man.
Oh, I like that.
Dogs don't offer the bone to somebody else.
No, they do not.
And yet it's one of the things that we teach children, isn't it? To share their stuff.
Yes.
Isn't it? There's so many paradoxes and things about living this life.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's incredibly...
Yeah.
We're in a very complex society. Yeah. One could argue that it would be cruel not to teach the child how to be appropriate.
Yeah, I know.
But it's not
Absolutely.
being, not the fullness of being.
Yeah.
Something is lost. The conditioned self comes in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It intrigued me something that you may not have said exactly these words, but it's kind of what I heard, that being with total aliveness is, I think you said, unbearable, and I wondered where that comes from.
It can be unbearable to the individual. Yeah. So the individual will attempt to construct defences or rationales to deplete the aliveness.
Why would we do that? Because it feels like exactly what is perfect,
What is perfect?
being with aliveness.
It's not perfect to a society that has vested interests and agendas. And parents, of course, have their own agendas. And that's fine. It's again what happens. So a child is devastated because his friend has died, and he cries, and that's okay for the parents. But then he cries for a week, and that's maybe not okay. And then the child maybe in those moments gets taught that grief is something to pretend not to have, or grief has to be let out in little bits for the rest of one's life rather than felt totally, which is its own healing. Totality is very scary.
Right, yeah, I get that more. Totality is very scary, yeah.
So either to be it or be with it in the dream.
Yes.
It's like a tornado in a way. Who knows what can happen? So aliveness isn't manners, of course, as you know, but I know you're not saying that, but aliveness is unconsidered wildness. It's completely, passionately mad and chaotic. That doesn't mean the behaviour has to be wild and chaotic. It depends. But it always is of that nature.
So allowing oneself to be totally alive in that sense really doesn't fit with society, does it?
Nobody can allow it or not allow it. There is nobody. There's a bit of me software in the brain that kind of gets plugged in like a, what do you call those things you put in your computer?
Memory stick.
Yeah, that'll
Hello?
do. Memory stick
Right.
in your USB port of the brain. Gets plugged in, let's say by parents, school, incidents that happen, circumstances, and that kind of stays in there for most people. And there's this endless commentary on existence. I should, I shouldn't, what if I hadn't, shouldn't feel guilty, oh, I'd better polish my chakras, etc. Depending on which cult you're in, either the cult of upper class aristocracy or the cult of Christianity, whatever. So that me software goes in there and it keeps operating, and it's usually very unconscious, and it tempers or dumbs down that wild animal instinct, the passion, the joy of being, because that's so unsafe and so impossible to anticipate. And me wants to anticipate everything and find a formula to survive everything, and that's incredibly dull.
Right. So it's like what it comes down to is a fear of non-existence.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That, because that would be free fall.
Yeah.
It's like the inner life equivalent of falling off a mountain.
Yeah, we interpret that as a fear of death.
Yes. Well, freedom is death.
Yeah, sure.
It's the death of me, the death of the one that was so cherished and important and personal.
Yes.
Me is like a bear in the woods. It wants to put its scent on everything. Oh, it's got to be about me.
Yeah, and yet paradoxically we're also taught that everything is about me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the dream.
yeah we are. Exactly. And it just happens that the times that we're apparently living in now are making that me culture more and more massively obvious. So we have selfies on Facebook and celebrity culture where everybody wants the same handbag or wants to know exactly what Posh Spice said to whatever other spice. So it's like this amazing explosion of me. Maybe it'll all go back down the rabbit hole. Who knows? It's just energy expressing for no reason, and none of it will ever be solved. And there are apparent different phases of that energetic expression for no reason. So we'll break for lunch soon. So let's see if there's anything else anyone wants to say or ask. Projection is a misplaced aspect of wholeness. It's like a misplaced fragment of being that one has been conditioned long ago to be taught one doesn't have a right to. So it has to belong to somebody else. So that's process and story. In actuality, without the conditioning, all there would have been would be aliveness in the moment, a total explosion of that feeling content, of that beingness. And then life would have moved on. But when that totality is arrested in the growing child, that aspect of being, that content, that feeling is put out there somewhere in the dream. And it, over and over again, it gets projected out onto apparently different people who are all the same really to the individual. They're all doing the same thing to me. But the opportunity is simply aliveness. The opportunity is to actually fall in love with what's happening in the body, in the being. To fall in love with it so fully that it doesn't ever need to happen again. And nobody can choose to do that or not do it. That's the story of projection. You know, that thing of all men with grey beards never listen.
You just make that up.
Yeah, of course.
Universal law.
Did Daddy have a grey beard? It's utterly wondrous, this being.
Sorry, I missed that last one.
It's utterly wondrous,
Oh,
this being.
yeah.
It's wholly fulfilled. It's all a play.